Have you ever wondered what really makes a country a superpower? Is it just about having a massive army or a booming economy? Well, the real story is a lot more complex and fascinating. We're often told it's all about military might, a huge GDP, and political influence. And sure, those things matter. But today, we're going to pull back the curtain and look at the hidden forces and surprising factors that truly forge global superpowers. We'll journey through history, from the rise and fall of ancient empires to the complex power dynamics of the 21st century. What you'll discover might just change the way you see the world. Let's start by rewinding the clock. Think about the Roman Empire. Yes, their legions were legendary, conquering vast territories. But their real, lasting power, it was their infrastructure. Roads, aqueducts, legal systems. These innovations didn't just support their military, they integrated diverse cultures into a single economic and social entity. People across the empire could trade, travel, and communicate more easily than ever before. This created a level of stability and prosperity that was the true bedrock of their dominance. The roads built by the Romans were used for centuries after the empire fell, a testament to the fact that soft power, the power of infrastructure and culture, can long outlast military strength. Now, let's jump forward to the Age of Discovery. Spain and Portugal became the first global empires, not just because they had advanced ships, but because they controlled the flow of information. They had the maps. They knew the trade winds, the ocean currents, and the location of valuable resources. This knowledge was a strategic asset, more valuable than gold itself. They created a global network of trade, connecting Europe, the Americas, Africa, and Asia. Control over these trade routes gave them immense wealth and influence, allowing them to fund their armies and navies and project power across the globe. It was a perfect example of how controlling the flow of goods and information can create a superpower. Then came the British Empire, the empire on which the sun never set. Their navy was, of course, a critical component. But what truly supercharged their rise was the Industrial Revolution. Britain became the workshop of the world. They had the factories, the coal, and the technology to mass-produce goods at a scale never seen before. This industrial might fueled their economy, funded their military, and allowed them to dominate global trade. More than that, they exported their systems, their language, their financial institutions in the City of London, their parliamentary system, and even their sports. This cultural and economic influence, this soft power, was just as important as the Royal Navy in maintaining their global dominance for over a century. So, we've seen how infrastructure, information, and industry have shaped superpowers throughout history. Now let us turn our attention to the 20th century and the rise of the United States and the Soviet Union. The Cold War is often portrayed as a simple military standoff and nuclear arms race. But it was so much more than that. It was a battle of ideologies, a contest of economic systems, and a race for technological supremacy. The United States didn't just win with military might. A huge part of its power came from what we call soft power. Think about Hollywood movies, blue jeans, and rock and roll music. These cultural exports spread American ideals of freedom and consumerism around the world, creating a powerful sense of attraction and influence. The Marshall Plan, which helped rebuild post-war Europe, wasn't just an act of generosity. It was a brilliant strategic move that created strong economic allies and contained the spread of communism. The US also fostered innovation through institutions like NASA and Silicon Valley, leading the world in technological advancement. This combination of economic aid, cultural appeal, and technological leadership was the secret sauce of American global power. Meanwhile, the Soviet Union projected its power through a different model. It focused on ideological alignment, supporting communist movements and revolutions across the globe. It achieved incredible scientific feats, like launching Sputnik, the first satellite, which shocked the world and kicked off the space race. For a time, their centralized economic model produced rapid industrial growth. However, this system eventually stagnated. It couldn't keep up with the innovation and consumer desires fueled by the more flexible Western economies. The lack of personal freedom and the immense cost of its military machine ultimately led to its collapse. The fall of the Soviet Union was a powerful lesson. Military parity is enough if your economic and social systems can't sustain it. So what does it take to be a superpower in the 21st century? The game has changed once again. While military strength and economic size are still important, they are no longer the whole story. Today, the new battlegrounds are technology, data, and global networks. Think about it. Who controls the platforms we use to communicate every day? Who is leading the race in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and biotechnology? These technologies are not just tools, they are shaping our economies, our societies, and even our understanding of what it means to be human. A country that leads in these fields will have an enormous advantage. They can set the standards, control the data, and influence the global conversation in ways that were unimaginable just a few decades ago. Furthermore, we're living in an incredibly interconnected world. Global supply chains, financial markets, and communication networks tie us all together. A superpower today can't just isolate itself. It needs to be a central node in these networks. The ability to influence international organizations, build alliances, and shape global norms is crucial. This is the power of diplomacy and multilateralism. In a world facing shared challenges like climate change, pandemics, and economic instability, the ability to lead through cooperation is just as important as the ability to command. Let's look at the current landscape. The United States still holds immense power through its technological leadership with Silicon Valley, its dominant currency, and its vast network of alliances. But we're also seeing the rapid rise of China. China has leveraged its massive manufacturing capacity to become a global economic powerhouse, but it's not stopping there. It's investing heavily in technology through initiatives like Made in China 2025, aiming for leadership in AI and 5G. It's also expanding its global influence through the Belt and Road Initiative, a massive infrastructure project that builds modern-day Silk Roads of trade and connection across continents. This is a classic superpower playbook, combining economic might with strategic infrastructure investment. But there are other players to watch as well. The European Union, as a bloc, is an economic giant with significant regulatory power that sets global standards in areas like data privacy. India, with its booming population and growing tech sector, is a rising force. Countries like Japan and Germany remain technological and industrial powerhouses. The future of global power is likely to be more multipolar, with several major players competing and cooperating on the world stage. So, what's the real story behind global superpowers? It's not a simple tale of armies and economies. It's a dynamic story of innovation and adaptation. True, lasting power comes from mastering the key systems of the age, whether it's Roman roads, British factories, American soft power, or today's digital networks. Superpowers are the nations that don't just have power, but understand how to build the platforms that create and distribute power. They build the roads, write the code, and tell the stories that shape the world. As we look to the future, the countries that can best harness technology, foster innovation, and lead through collaboration will be the ones to write the next chapter in this incredible story. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey through the hidden history of global power. If you found this as fascinating as I do, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into the forces that shape our world. Let me know in the comments which factor you think is most important for a superpower today. Until next time, stay curious.